what I'm on about. That's what I'm on about.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. Now, on today's show, we're going to take a look back at last night's Premier League game, Leeds against Crystal Palace. We're also going to be taking a look at a situation involving Mike Dean. And the last piece of news involves Arsenal, because it looks like their Europa League game with Benfica is going to be played in Rome.
I represent my fucking self.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. That's right.
So the first place we're going to start is last night's Premier League game, and it's a very, very good victory for Leeds United. Patrick Bamford got himself on the score sheet, and that was actually his 100th goal for the club. So congratulations to him. And that result actually meant that Leeds United go above Arsenal in the table, and that makes this weekend's game even more interesting because of course it is Arsenal against Leeds on Sunday in the Premier League. And yeah, it's just going to be a very interesting game, especially the way that Leeds United play. Very open and very attack minded. Will that actually play into Arsenal's hands? And will we actually see a team turn up to the Emirates that don't try and play low blocks? I think it could be a very good game, but we will talk about that more in due course. But Leeds United, very, very good win for them. And like I said, it moves them into the top half of the table. Next piece of news involves Mike Dean. Now, of course, we've been speaking about Mike Dean a lot over the last week because of the amount of controversies that he's been involved in. Of course, he sent off Bednarak for Southampton against Manchester United. And after an appeal, the sending off was rescinded. And then over the course of the weekend, he sent off West Ham's Thomas Souček. And after an appeal, it's been rescinded. The exact same thing. Now, what did I say? This is now 2 incidents within the space of a week where Mike Dean's decisions have been rescinded. Now, it's not like the older times where a referee only had one opportunity, one look, one take, and mistakes can genuinely happen. This is a situation where Mike Dean has the benefit of VAR, and in both instances he's been to the monitor, watched it closely over and over and over, and still came to the wrong decision. Now, what's been happening as a fallout from this is that Mike Dean has asked to not officiate in a Premier League game this weekend after receiving abuse and death threats on social media. Now, first and foremost, I'm going to make this very clear. Whatever you may think of Mike Dean, there's no excusing death threats and the kind of abuse that his family's been receiving online. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, he's not good enough as a referee. He needs to just finish. It's all about Mike Dean, the Mike Dean show. I was only alluding to this on last week's podcast on AFTV. And lo and behold, these 2 incidents go and back the point. But that's not what we're on about here. Be critical. You know, talk about him not being, you know, able to do the job. He's not a good referee and everything else. But death threats and all that kind of stuff, that's not acceptable. And you can't condone that. But the weird thing is that he's been asked to be taken out of the Premier League games this weekend. But he's still going to be officiating in the FA Cup, you know, during the course of the week. Having a look at where he's going to be refereeing, he's going to be dealing with the Leicester and Brighton game. Now, of course, because it's Premier League teams, VAR will be in operation for this game. So can you imagine if there's another incident involving Mike Dean and VAR and he gets it wrong? You know, and like I said, it's not the fact that he's had one take. He's, you know, had multiple takes and opportunities to come to the right decision and he's got it wrong on both occasions. And again, it's just me. But going back to the social media abuse, it's his family that have been targeted. And from what I gather with this is that referees are not allowed social media accounts, and I think there's obvious reasons why. But obviously they have family members and they will have social media, and those threats have been made to those family members about Mike Dean. All the abuse has been reported to the police, so you hope that the ones that have been overstepping that mark and making death threats and whatnot are held accountable, because like I said, it's not acceptable. Despite what you might think about Mike Dean as a referee, he's still a human being, and you can't be going around making death threats and throwing abuse at his family and stuff like that, because that's just not on in any way, shape or form. Next piece of news involves Arsenal. Now, we were speaking about this a week or so ago, and of course next week we're playing Benfica in the Europa League, but current quarantine restrictions in Portugal mean that Arsenal simply would not be able to travel and play there. And likewise, with the restrictions that are now in place in England, Benfica wouldn't be able to come and travel over to Arsenal. Now, the first leg was supposed to be played in Portugal. So, believe it or not, it's not down to UEFA and everybody else to, sort this out. It's down to the home clubs. And from what the reports were saying in the Portuguese media yesterday, is that Rome has been set as the destination for the 18th of February, which of course is next week. That agreement has still to be, confirmed by UEFA. But apparently that is what both clubs are going to agree on. If Benfica are unable to sort this out, then a 3-0 victory would be given to Arsenal. Even though, we're not going to be playing at Benfica Stadium, it's an away tie, so you've got to presume that away goals do count and everything else. But then on the flip side of that as well, because Benfica wouldn't be able to travel to London the following week, it would then fall into Arsenal's hands to deal with that. Now, do they go back to Rome, or do they find somewhere else that they could possibly go to? It's not going to be great either way when you look at it, because, we're playing Leeds United at the weekend. We've then got to travel to Rome for the game in the Europa League, which is a huge game, by the way, now. Then we've got to come back. We've got a Premier League game against Manchester City. And then possibly go back to Rome for the second leg, which is supposedly a home tie. I know it's got to work both ways for both teams, but seems a little bit unfair when you think about it. If Arsenal have, to travel to Rome twice in the space of 7 days, and I don't know whether they could apply to the Premier League to have the Manchester City game moved, maybe, so that they get the time in between the games. I don't think the FA are going to do that or help in any way, shape or form, but it just seems a little unfair, doesn't it? That you have to travel all the way over there. And I suppose the same with other teams in Europe and everything else. We all see the situation, what's going on at the moment. And I think everybody's kind of in the same boat. But, with the games 7 days apart, it does seem a lot having to travel all the way over to Rome. Because obviously one of those should be a home fixture. So yeah, it is what it is. And briefly, a piece of news on Thomas Partey, because his injury that he picked up against Aston Villa is not as bad as first feared. And reports are suggesting that he's actually going to be available for this weekend's game against Leeds United. If that is true, then I am breathing one big sigh of relief because we need him. And apparently it wasn't his hamstring, it was his thigh again. It looked like his hamstring, but reports are suggesting it was actually his thigh. Given the fact that it's gone twice already, is it a risk to play him in the game against Leeds? And like I was saying, the Europa League for us now is huge. Win that, you get into the Champions League. So do we look at it and say, don't risk it against Leeds and go for the Benfica game? It's a risky one. Whichever way you go with. You play him and he gets injured, people will say, why did you play him? If you don't play him and we don't beat Leeds, people will say, why didn't you? Just can't win, can you? So there we go. That is it for today's DT's Daily. As usual, let me know in the comment section what you think about today's topics. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button, smash a like on this video, and I will see you a lot soon. I'm out of here.